is one of the most food-proud nations on earth. Its national dish, kimchi, is not just a condiment, it is a cultural identity, a UNESCO-listed tradition, and a symbol of resilience stretching back over 1,000 years. So consider this. According to Korea Customs Service data, South Korea now imports more than 90% of its kimchi trade volume from a single country, China. In 2022 alone, South Korea imported roughly 330,000 metric tons of kimchi, nearly all of it Chinese-made. The country that invented kimchi is buying it from its neighbor. How did that happen, and what does it reveal about the pressures quietly reshaping Korean society? The scale of the shift becomes clearer when you line up the figures. South Korea's kimchi trade deficit, meaning the gap between how much it imports versus exports, has widened dramatically over the past 2 decades. According to Korea Customs Service records, South Korea imported roughly $275 million worth of kimchi in 2022, while exporting only about $160 million worth. China accounts for roughly 99% of those imports by volume. The price difference is stark. Chinese-made kimchi can cost as little as 1/4 of the domestic Korean equivalent, according to reporting by the Korea Rural Economic Institute. Meanwhile, Statistics Korea data shows that the number of full-time agricultural workers in South Korea fell from roughly 2.5 million in 2000 to under 1.5 million by 2021. The workforce that once made kimchi at home and at scale is shrinking, aging, and moving to cities. 3 forces converge to produce this outcome, and none of them were accidents. The first is demographic. South Korea has one of the lowest birth rates ever recorded for a large economy. The total fertility rate fell to 0.72 in 2023, according to Statistics Korea. An aging, shrinking rural population means fewer hands to grow napa cabbage, fewer households practicing the communal kimchi-making ritual known as kimjang. The second force is cost. Land prices in South Korea are among the highest in Asia relative to agricultural yield, making domestic vegetable farming increasingly uncompetitive. Napa cabbage prices in Korea have been volatile and sometimes extreme. In 2010, a supply shock sent cabbage prices up more than 200%, triggering a national panic reported widely by Korean media and the Ministry of Agriculture. The third force is industrial demand. South Korea's food service sector, which feeds millions of office workers, students, and hospital patients every day, needed cheap, consistent, high-volume kimchi. Chinese producers, operating at industrial scale in provinces like Shandong, could deliver exactly that. The consequences stretch in several directions at once. For Korean consumers and food businesses, cheap imported kimchi has been a practical solution to a real cost problem. But the cultural friction has been intense. In 2021, a Chinese social media video appeared to show kimchi being made in unsanitary conditions in China. The footage spread rapidly in South Korea, triggering food safety anxieties and renewed calls for mandatory country of origin labeling at restaurants. The Korean Food Safety Ministry confirmed it would tighten labeling rules in response. There is also a geopolitical dimension. South Korea's growing food dependency on China sits uncomfortably alongside the two countries' fraught political relationship. From disputes over THAAD missile deployment to cultural appropriation rose over kimchi itself. After a Chinese food standards body attempted to claim a variant of spicy cabbage as a Chinese standard in 2020, according to reporting by the BBC and Reuters. Korean domestic kimchi producers, meanwhile, are shrinking. The Korea Kimchi Association has reported repeated years of declining membership among small and mid-sized producers. The kimchi story is not unique to Korea. It is a case study in what happens when demographic decline, urbanization, and industrial food demand collide with a deeply symbolic national product. Japan faces the same tension with its domestic rice industry. France debates it with certain cheeses. The United States wrestles with it in commodity agriculture. What makes Korea's case instructive is its speed and visibility, a food so central to national identity that even small shifts in its supply chain become front-page news and parliamentary debate. The deeper question the kimchi trade raises is one every aging, urbanizing society will eventually face. When the people and traditions that made a food culture possible begin to disappear, what exactly are you preserving when you protect the product? And who is doing the preserving? Those are questions with no easy answers, but asking them clearly is where understanding begins.